Welcome to Sidmouth. Looking at this valley from above, you'll notice how this coastal town is wedged between the sea and the surrounding green hills. To the east, there is a massive ecological network stretching across Salcombe and Riverside Park. This topological map highlights that eastern wilderness, but it also reveals matching green zones to the west, specifically the Knapp and Knoll network and the sites up on the Peak Ridge. You have these two large natural zones, but sitting right in the middle is the town. On paper, human development of this size should completely split the valley, leaving the wildlife isolated. Down at street level, Sidmouth looks like any other busy coastal destination. It is packed with commercial shopfronts, paved streets, and heavy human infrastructure. Because of all these past alterations, official records classify the sites within the town as brownfield. In ecological planning, that label often carries the assumption of zero biological value. It is easy to look at the concrete pavement and assume this area is an impenetrable wall dividing the east and west ecosystems. But focusing only on the concrete misses the role these urban sites play in linking the two sides of the valley together. To see how that link works, we have to isolate the specific core of the town, the cluster stretching from All Saints Road in the north down to the sea in the south. This map shows the 7 primary sites of natural interest identified within this dense area. Despite being surrounded by development, they function as distinct ecological nodes. While these sites look fragmented, survey data identifies physical connections between them, creating paths through human infrastructure. This primary skeleton is supported by smaller stepping stone sites throughout the town, allowing nature to move through areas that, on the surface, seem to have little to offer. These individual parks and gardens combine to form a connected, functioning ecosystem that bridges the center of the valley. Navigating this urban bridge requires immense biological resilience. For flora and fauna, moving through human infrastructure is an environmental gauntlet. At the edge of the network, the coast presents extreme challenges. Plants must survive severe salt spray and root themselves in shifting shingle beaches. Inland, the threat shifts from weather to human maintenance. In places like Connaught Gardens, wild plants face manicured flower beds, where survival means finding a niche to avoid the gardener's hoe. Certain species adapt to these challenges by finding overlooked gaps in the landscaping or by clinging directly to the mortar of flintstone walls. The town functions as a bridge because nature is resilient enough to exploit the small openings in human control. You can see this success clearly on the coast. Along the grassy slopes around Jacob's Ladder, specialist flora like these oxeye daisies thrive, supporting active insect populations right next to the beach. Further in, central parks like Blackmore Gardens offer critical open space. Tucked away from the coastal wind, these areas provide bird species with the cover they need to feed and nest safely. There are even pockets holding on to much older biology. The unique wooded valley of Glen Goyle and the private grounds of Powys House still support remnants of ancient woodland flora. Linking the thriving coastal insects, the nesting birds in the gardens, and the ancient woodland flora creates a viable path for wildlife to cross the town. Returning to our original map, we can see the town center differently. The space between these wilderness zones is an active ecological bridge connecting the two sides of the valley. There is a constant tension here. Sidmouth is built to serve the economic needs of holiday visitors, and that infrastructure will often clash with the requirements of plants and animals. However, a tourist economy and a wild ecological network are not mutually exclusive. They require management strategies that balance economic realities with biodiversity. By recognizing urban spaces as stepping stones rather than dead zones, we find that human economies and natural ecosystems can and must coexist.